Hey, hi there. Good to see you. Thanks for coming across this YouTube channel once again. You're seeing me for the first time. My name is Marvin. Happy to have you here. Thanks to all of you subscribers that continue to render support to this channel. I really appreciate that because it's much needed help. Thanks to some of you that only give likes. Thanks for those likes. Thanks to some of you that give comments. Those comments are helpful and they bring balance to everything that I say here. So today is a hot topic, another hot topic, the crowning of Miss South Africa. Miss South Africa has just been crowned and it has caused a roar. It has caused a roar. Now, anytime you think of something that causes this kind of uproar, this kind of contention and just commotion, it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. And once again, I personally regret the fact that every time we deal with issues like this, there's a white hand to it. There's a white hand to it. And this has gone on too long. But anyway, let me get into what I want to get into. So, Miss South Africa has been crowned and it's a white person. And this has caused a storm because it's a white person. I personally am not against the idea of having a white person represent South Africa or win the Miss South Africa. But in the manner that it's been done, it's a problem. And here's why this is a problem. First of all, an investigation was done against Chidima, and it was found out that Chidima, his mother committed identity theft, okay? And so she can't contest. So here's the thing. So this woman had no control over her destiny of being born in South Africa. She's born in South Africa. She should be South African, but she's been disqualified from being South African and representing South Africa as Miss South Africa because of that. On the other hand, this white person is a descendant of invaders of the land. She's allowed to contest and win it. It doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense. This is a descendant of people who came to the land illegally. And then you have a black person whose mother also came illegally in that sense, following what is the findings of this investigation, who is also illegal in the country. So you would rather disqualify a person that looks like you because so many black people were against Chidima. And I don't understand this hatred of Nigerians by South Africans. But anyway, we know South Africa has been xenophobic. South Africa has this xenophobia that nobody can understand. Even I don't understand it. As a matter of fact, I've been a victim of this xenophobia in South Africa. I lived in South Africa for 2 years and I saw how South Africans hate foreigners. I do not know why. And I'm going to show you a clip in a moment where this young South African lady apologized. She made me feel a little bit better because I was at a point where I was thinking, I think South Africans shouldn't be helped. But she made me feel a lot better when she gave an apology. Now, I'll show you that video in a moment. But I'm still battling to understand how a descendant of people that illegally arrived in the country of South Africa can be qualified to contest here. And the person who was also born in South Africa is a black descendant of the land. Now remember, South Africa was never different countries. It was divided by white people at the Berlin Conference to divide Africans against each other. And it's sad and shocking that to this day, this ideology, this tactic is still working against Africans. Africans are still turning against each other. Up until now, we've not learned anything. With all of the suffering that South Africans have gone through, we still haven't learned anything. We are still going after our own brothers. UK, United Kingdom, they are trying to force black people out of their country. They're saying we want our country back, including other places in Europe. You black people in Africa are kicking out your own brothers. South Africa, something isn't right about South Africans. Something isn't right. Descendants of invaders, and Robert Mugabe said this to a BBC journalist. He said it because he was asked when he was challenged about kicking out white farmers from Zimbabwe. He was asked a question, but they were born in Zimbabwe. And he told her, are they not invaders? Should they be considered citizens? As invaders, should they be considered as citizens? It's the same principle that applies in this case. White people are descendants of invaders. They are illegal in the country of South Africa. They are illegal. They own 70% of the land illegally. Now, what has happened? Here's what one of my other concerns here. What has happened to Chidima? What you South African people have done to Chidima? Heaven knows what issues you have with Nigerians and even other people. What you have done is that you have set a precedent against yourselves. Because white people in South Africa are trying to find a way to gain all the power in South Africa. And in these elections that passed in May, where we thought things were going to change, and they still came back somehow because of, again, black people in South Africa. They've taken a step ahead of achieving their goals of taking the land entirely. And what you have done is that they've made you use your own laws against yourselves. What you've done to Chidima is not something you've done to Chidima. It's something you've done to yourself. You've set a trap for yourselves. Once they gain power entirely in South Africa, the white people, they will use that same standard until you are doing investigations and we're finding out some of you are from Botswana, some of you are from Malawi. Pack your bags, go to Malawi. Pack your bags, go to Botswana. That's what they'll do to you. You didn't do this against Chidima. You did it against yourselves as black Africans. You see, I don't have an issue with white people. I don't have hatred against white people. The liberation that we're all looking for in South Africa is the fact that white people have caused too much pain in South Africa. And so you cannot continue to have the face of a white person representing the country. Now, in this case, if this white person had won clean, without anything dubious, because this campaign against Chidima was simply to help the white person win the pageant. That's what it was. And white people have done these things too many times, where they find a way to smear dirt against a competitor. Because when the playing field is fair, they don't win. And they have used you against your own flesh, which they've done time and time and time again. But we still don't learn. In UK, they're chasing black people. You, in South Africa, you are chasing your own brothers. They're chasing black people in the UK, saying we want our land back. We want our country back. You, the people that have taken the land from you, you have nothing against them. They are the ones you want them to represent you. Now, like I said, I don't have an issue with a white person winning clean. But to come up with this thing against Chidima, the same thing that applies to white people, doesn't make any sense. If Chidima is illegal in that country, even white people are illegal and they can't stand and represent South Africa in any capacity. They can't. They can't even stand for presidency. They can't. Because they are descendants of people who arrived in the country illegally. So, I personally came to a point where I said, no, South Africa, this xenophobia, and you just don't know how to help South Africa. Everybody who's trying to help South Africans to be free, I think they're just wasting their time. But this lady gave an apology which made me feel a little bit better. And I want you to see this video before I continue to make my comments. Watch this.
Any Africans watching, although North Africa, I don't know if this applies to you because there are issues, but particularly people from West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, I just want to say that as a South African, I want you to know that it's not all of us. I know there's been a lot of vitriol, hatred spewed over the last few weeks, And I just want you to know that it's not all South Africans. There are some of us who still remember Robert Sobukwe. There are some of us who still remember the contributions of various African countries in our fight against apartheid. We remember. Xenophobia occurs in countries across the world and is used as a political ploy by politicians across the world. I mean, that goes without saying, right? I think in South Africa, because that finds expression in Afrophobia, and like a very hypocritical, white-loving, master-worshipping Afrophobia, that I felt like there was a need to say, it's not all of us. Like, it's not all of us. Because it's also been really embarrassing to see tweets where people are saying that they'd rather have white people here than Nigerian people here. It's honestly really, really embarrassing.
Yeah, so seeing that kind of common sense, and she's a very, very young lady, was refreshing. Because at the end of the day, you sit back and you think, we're praying for South Africans. We're doing everything we can to see that they're free. Listen, the justice that is needed in South Africa is not about getting back against white people. No, it's not revenge against white people. I've always said this. Vengeance is never an answer. But the way forward for South Africa is that the people of the land, the black people, who always ensure that everything is fair for everyone. White people don't do that. That's what this is about. This is about ensuring fairness for everybody. White people do not do that. White people want everything to themselves. They want to oppress everybody. That's what this struggle is about in South Africa. It's not about getting vengeance against white people. Because South Africans will never be free for as long as they are ruled by white people. They'll never be. We've seen what they have done in the land. We've seen how many lives they have killed. We've seen all manner of things that have happened in South Africa. That's what this is about. Black people have never been known to discriminate against everybody. That's what this agitation is about. But you hear that young lady saying that there are some South Africans who know, who acknowledge the contributions of other countries. I know my country, for example, Zambia. It made a very, very big contribution to the liberation of South Africa from apartheid. And for South Africans to continue to dehumanize people from other countries who helped you become free doesn't make any sense. Like the young lady said, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. I don't know how else to say. This thing has left me spinning, my head spinning. Why do you hate foreigners? What have foreigners done to you? All that foreigners have ever done to you is help you become free. Help you break from the shackles of apartheid. And then now they come to your country, just like everybody else travels to every other country. There are South Africans who live in Zambia. They are not called Kwere Kwere. But every time you have people from different countries, you call them Kwere Kwere. And you spew this hatred against them. For what? The people who have taken your land, you are afraid of them. You worship them. You worship the people who have taken your land. The people coming there, Zambians, Zimbabweans, Nigerians, who? They're simply looking for opportunity. Just like South Africans are also in Morocco, in Ghana, in Kenya, looking for opportunities. Same thing. But it was refreshing to see this young lady so immaculately give an apology like that, because it's necessary. Because at this point, it's difficult to understand South Africans. It's hard to understand South Africans. And it made me think, and even conversations I've had with friends now, it made us realize, you know what? No wonder South Africans cannot be free. Because the way they treat other people, their own blood, how do you expect someone else to not treat you the same, or even worse? How? You sow seeds against yourself. Just like in the issue of Chidima, the way you have treated Chidima is how these white people, when they assume total control of government, that's exactly how they are going to treat you. It's very, very, very sad. You have to wonder, if investigations are done against many white people in South Africa, are they not going to be found to be illegal in the country when you do investigations? Because even when they came in and settled in the country, how did they get their papers? When they settled in the country illegally and took the land by force by murdering people, how did they get their documents? How? Who gave them the documents? When you do investigations into those things, will you not find out that their current descendants are illegal in the country? Will you not find out that? There's a price to pay for these things. There's a price for these things. This young lady has clearly outlined it, that there are some South Africans who acknowledge and remember the contributions of other countries. Because now what's going to happen is, you almost foresee a situation where when things turn bad for South Africans in South Africa, because now it's clear, some of these people are going to need to go to other countries because they're just not happy in their own country. They can't have it their way in their own country. They may have to live somewhere else in the meantime until a solution comes for South Africa, until redemption comes for South Africa. Because it's going to come. It's a matter of time. South Africans can cling to power all they want, cling to the land all they want. A time of judgment is coming. But in the meantime, people such as this lady who gave that apology, they may need to live in other countries to have a peace of mind. But for some people, the borders may be shut. Because the same people you're mistreating, they're the people who contributed to your fight for freedom. Now you're putting yourselves back into the shackles of apartheid. And this time around, these countries, they will not help. They'll just say, no, look, they've insulted us. We knew we stay on our knees praying for them. And they're insulting us, calling us kwere kwere, and kicking us out of the land. So this time around, we're not helping them. They'll fight for themselves. This time around, you will not win. You will not win, South Africans. I don't know why you are behaving like this. You will not win. Once these white people have assumed all the power in South Africa, which you are helping them to do, this time around, you're not going to win. You will not win. But the one thing that I know is that redemption for South Africa will come. Because what this to me shows is that this is an exposure. It's God Himself exposing the people who sell their own people. That's what this is. So there's a division, there's a separation here happening, where you're beginning to see those who truly want justice, equity, fairness. Because the people who are supporting these white people, I don't know how much they've been bought for. I don't know. You talk about the issue of judges as well. From what I've seen, there were 3 white judges in this and 2 black judges. 3 white judges. Now listen, like I said before, I don't have a problem a white person winning this or winning anything, but it has to be fairly done. And this campaign that was raised against Chidima was simply to make this white person win. Because white people don't win when things are fair. They have to use underhand methods to win. This is what the problem is. The way that this person, her name is Mia apparently, the way that this person won is a shame. You should have just won clean. And like I said, if this issue of her being South African can be used against Chidima, it should also be used in descendants of invaders of the land. It should. Why not? The invasion of the land is even worse. So that's why this Chidima should have been allowed to stand. And then you as a white person win clean. But to win like this continues to show that you're always going to be using oppression. That's what this is. This is the problem that I have with it. I do not have a problem with a white person winning. But the way you win anything is important. And with the scars that Africans have about what white people have done to South Africa in the land, with those scars still lingering, with people still bleeding, you're not making it any better by doing it this way. That's what the issue is here. Because South Africa needs to come to a place where it is no longer a white face that they see, so they can be allowed to heal. They can be allowed to learn to trust white people again. White people have lost credibility and the trust of many people You have to gain that. And so South Africa needs a fresh start where you show yourself to have true intentions and not you always using underhand methods to get to the top. It doesn't make any sense. But there's another clip that I want you to see of a South African woman who laid out some important issues that I want to kind of conclude on. Watch this and I'll come back again.
As a South African, I can say I'm highly disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed because we as South Africans have a long way to go. How do you feel somebody come to your own house and do as they please, and then you're going to want to blame that person? If I let you in my house and you do whatever you want and I want to put the blame on you, it means I don't take accountability. I have to take myself and put myself to blame. Many children here in South Africa, they are growing up without fathers. Where are Nigerians there? Our own very South Africans, they make us have babies, they give people children from a young age and they abandon them, they do not train these kids. We're not going to turn a blind eye and pretend as if we don't know what is happening in the location.
So there again, you see, here's this woman, and really she's pouring out her heart. And again, this is another woman who, for me, I'm including in the people that may have to live in other countries until there's salvation for South Africa. Because salvation for South Africa is going to come. It's a matter of time. It doesn't matter what white people do. They can use all the underhand methods they want. The time has come. The time has come. It's a fact. So it doesn't matter what white people do. South Africans are going to have their land. The black South Africans who are traitors, it's unfortunate because they too will go with the white people. They will. And this is not to say that white people will never live in South Africa. No. This is a new start where you don't oppress the people anymore. So there has to be a reset where the country starts all over again, and the people who always ensure that there's fairness for everybody, the black people, because black people have never oppressed anybody. The black people, they will take up their own land and ensure that everybody is treated equally. That's what this is about. And for those of you black people who are supporting the white oppressors, shame on you, because you will go with them. It's a fact. So this young lady is among the people who may need to live in other countries until there's redemption for South Africa, until there's salvation for South Africa, which will surely come at the appointed time. But the point that she brought out there is very crucial. South African men have this rampant tendency of impregnating women and never taking care of those children. You heard her say that. It's something I saw for myself when I lived in South Africa. I don't know why South African men are like that. This problem, I've not seen it anywhere else I've traveled in Africa. Yes, it happens here and there. But in South Africa, it's like it's the norm. And this lady outlined it very correctly. She said it. They impregnate us and leave us with kids that they never raise. And South Africa is full of kids growing up without their fathers. That's not the problem of Nigerian men. It's not a problem of Nigerian men. So, what is this hatred that you have for Nigerians and even other foreigners? What is it? And she correctly pointed it out. It's embarrassing. But the fact that the tactics of white people of turning black people against each other continues to work today, it highlights a big problem that Africans have. And it's embarrassing, and it's a shame that this is what it is. It's a shame that this is what it is. I don't know what to say. It's mind-blowing. Your own brother is an enemy to you. I don't know what to say. So, the South Africans, such as Julius Malema, who are only agitating for change so that the country can have fairness, we wish you well. We wish you well. Ladies such as this one, the two that I showed you in those videos, we wish you well. Chidima, we wish you well. This is extremely unfortunate. This is very disturbing. It's very, very disturbing. Just at a time when we thought we were making progress with South Africa. And it brings you to this realization that the liberation that Africa is looking for, we have to do it without South Africa. I think South Africans have just decided that they are not Africans. So the salvation, the liberation that Africa is agitating for from white supremacy, Africa has to go it without South Africa. That's what it looks like. But let me hear your comments. It's a very, very sensitive topic, and I'm sure that some of you will have a thing or two to say, and I look forward to hearing that. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.